So, the basic vocabulary, morphology, and phonology all tell us about the genetic origin of a language. Cultural vocabulary, usually in several layers, tells us about cultural contexts. And some examples in Castilian from morphology or grammar, we have the verb to be has several different stems, at least two different stems. The one with an S and an R is the same origin, and the one with an F in fue. And this pattern was inherited from Latin, where it's est, erat, fuit, esse or essere. So this verb was really pieced together from different verbs that merged. Same thing happened in English with is, was, and been. There's three different original words that were put together in this verb to be. The same in German, which has a been and bist, ist, and sein, with the same three. I forgot to put var. The same three different stems, and this we call a suppletive paradigm. It's pieced together from words of different origins. And when you see the same piecing together pattern in different languages, it's a good indicator that these are inherited patterns and indicate genetic origin. Then we come to phonology, and the popular word for phonology is sound laws. Maybe you've heard of Grimm's law, but there's laws for every language family. For example, in Castilian, we have the H, which is, I believe in most dialects, is silent now. Aba, hembra, hilo, hoja, humo. And in French, these same words all have an F. And we know from Latin that the same words in Latin had an F. And this is what we call a regular phonetic correspondence or sound law. It's not really a law, it's a tendency, but it's a way to scientifically control whether a similarity is by accident or if it is really goes back to something historic. So the H here, the F here, in all these words and more indicate that there's a regular pattern of change. So I think I already really said this. Basic vocabulary, morphology, phonology, all tell us the genetic origin of the Castilian language is Vulgar Latin, spread by the Roman Empire. And the several layers of cultural vocabulary, the original Vulgar Latin layer, the Celtic layer, the Germanic layer, the Arabic layer, and others, indicate those contacts with people speaking other languages. And Castilian borrowed those words. So this same type of analysis can be made of the Basque language to determine genetic origin. We'll look at these three things: basic vocabulary, morphology, and phonology. And then after that, to determine cultural contacts, we'll look at the cultural vocabulary and several layers again in Basque, just as in Castilian and in English. So a good example of a very basic word is a word for tooth. English tooth, Dutch tand, Welsh dant, Castilian diente, Greek dondi, Armenian atamn, Persian dandan, Hindi dant, and many others continue the ancient Indo-European word for tooth, which is reconstructed as something like edont, and this is dated maybe 6,000 years ago. But the phonetic forms have changed a little bit in each language, but the word itself has remained in all these languages across Europe and Asia and others. In German, all the other Romance languages have this same word for tooth. The Slavic languages have a different one. So this is why we need to focus on the most basic and stable words in order to discover old linguistic relationships. We need to look at the words that have been used, that have stayed the same for thousands and thousands of years. And there's a good chance that this is true in all languages to some extent. So the Basque word for tooth is hortz or orts. If we are looking for possible relatives of the Basque language, hortz should be one of the basic words we focus on. And if we search for similar words for tooth in Europe and Asia, we do not find anything similar until we come to the Caucasus Mountains, where the Lak language has something like karch for the meaning tooth. And we can see the initial ka related to ha, and the combination of a r and an affricate, tsa or ch. And other languages in the Caucasus, in Dagestan, have similar words with related meanings: fang tooth, canine tooth, or molar tooth. For example, ahwa, gorjo, which means fang, tsezi, goju, which means molar, and others. This could be accidental, if not for the fact that these North Caucasian languages share many other basic words with Basque. So looking more at Lak, this is a North Caucasian language of Dagestan in the Caucasus Mountains. And I already mentioned the word hortz, karch, which I think corresponds to Basque hortz, corresponding to Basque mihi, or mi, which is tongue. Lak has maz. For the Basque word for fire, shu, Lak has tsu. It's a glottal affricate, tsu. The word for earth, lur, is in Lak is luchchi, and there's a strange phonetic development I can't go into now, but it's too technical. But the initial consonant is the same, and the first vowel is the same. Similarly, in the Basque word for you is su. In Lak, zu means you, plural, more than one person. And this is, this is the old meaning of Basque too, that su originally meant you, plural. And then finally of this group, Basque gauche, hunger or hungry, in Lak is kashi. This K with a colon is an intensive consonant, so it's kind of long. Gashi. I can't pronounce it correctly, but. And another Caucasian language is Chechen. And again, these very basic words. The word for eye in Basque is begi, and Chechen is something like berg. This little sound here is a pharyngeal, which I'm not sure I can pronounce. But, the word for ear in Basque is belarri, and in Chechen is lerg, with a different suffix. The word for old, sar, in Chechen is shira. The word for dry, agor, in Chechen is ek-a. This sign looks like an equal sign, indicates that class prefix comes before the word, and it can be a different prefix depending on the class of the word. The same with the verb to die in Basque is hil or il, and in Chechen is al. The woods in Basque is oihan, oyan, and Chechen is hun with a pharyngeal H. And there are many others, I'm just giving a few examples. Then the Avar language, another North Caucasian language, Basque adar for horn, and Avar is tlar. This is a strange sound, a lateral affricate, we call it. The Basque word for a dog is or is hoi in Avar. The word for earth in Basque, lur, is ratl in Avar. So there's some kind of transfer, metathesis of the L and the R. And it's also related to that lock word we looked at earlier. Basque word for smoke is ke. Some dialects is eke. In some dialects has a long vowel. In Navarre it's kui with a glottal k. The word for day